Hello, welcome to another video and welcome to my October wrap up. I can't believe we are at the end of October. That is ridiculous to me. How has this happened? How are we here already? It's the 1st of November today, which is even more insane to me, but let's move on and we'll go through all the books that I read in October. Apologies if the lighting is kind of crap. It is only 5 o'clock. I have just finished work, but it means that it's pitch dark outside, so like I can't do anything about that. I mean, I could have filmed at lunchtime, but I didn't. So I have got a stacks of books here in front of me, and I'm going to just go through, like I normally do, go through my stats and then go through the books I read, the ratings I gave them, and my thoughts. So I read 11 books in October. I feel like this was a really good reading month for me. It's not my highest ever. It's kind of back to like average. I normally kind of average between like sort of 10 to 13 books a month. So I'm happy with this, but I read some amazing books and you'll see this in terms of ratings. This month was incredible for me. Yeah, my average rating this month was a 4.25. That's amazing. Like that's so high in terms of like, you know, actually what I'm reading. So yeah, very, very excited. So let me just scoot over to one side and I'll go through my stats. So first of all, like I said, I read 11 books. These are the 11 books and these are the genres that I read. I read 5 fantasy, 1 crime, 1 thriller, 1 mystery, 1 sci-fi and 2 dark academia. Yes, I possibly could have lumped the crime, thriller and mystery all in the same thing, but they're not. They're all slightly different kind of genres. Then in terms of how I read the books, I read 6 physically, 4 digitally and 1 on audiobook. And then my star ratings, the most exciting part, I had 4 5 stars. That's amazing. I don't think I've had that many 5 stars in a month ever. Like, that's huge. I had 3 4.5 stars, 1 4 star, 1 3.5 star and 2 3 stars. I love it. It's amazing. Like, no words. Really, really happy with like what I read this month. I'm gonna try and do it in order, but I'm not entirely sure what order I read all the books in, so it's gonna be slightly all over the place. But I think probably one of the first books I read this month, I'm going with this one, is Vicious by V. Schwab. This book has been on my TBR for the longest time and I am so happy that I finally read it. I was predicting really, really good things for this one and it did not disappoint. I gave Vicious 4.5 stars. I loved the characters, I loved the drama, I loved the real kind of like gritty, morally greyness of it. I just thought this book was incredible. Like I said, 4.5 stars. I've then got The Fires of Heaven. This is book 5. Yeah, book 5 in the Wheel of Time series. She is a chunker. I actually gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. The Wheel of Time is such a huge epic fantasy series. So we are following basically the Wheel of Time is the idea that everything in the world happens and happens again and again. The wheel keeps on turning. And in every iteration of the wheel, there is a character, the Dragon Reborn, who kind of moves the wheel towards light or darkness. So we are following this wheels iteration of the Dragon Reborn and trying to see him not try and go towards the light rather than the dark. There is magic in this. When the male dragon uses magic, it will turn him insane. Allegedly, that's what we are told. I'm not sure if I necessarily believe that. The plot, the story of this, I love. The writing style. This book does not need to be as long as it is. This book is 900 pages. It does not need to be that long. The next book in the series is over 1,000. It does not need to be that long. But the story, I'm really enjoying this. Honestly, someone just needed to sit Robert Jordan down, with a big red pen and say, let's cut out a few hundred of words, hey? The next one I have got on my list was Forsaken Commander by G.J. Ogden. This was a book I took part in the tandem read-along for it. This one is a self-pubbed book and one of the Kindle Storyteller Awards nominees. I really enjoyed it. It's a sci-fi space opera. And I really liked how we are following our main character, Master Commander Rose, who is a kind of more than human. He has been genetically modified to be more powerful than a normal human. However, in the war with these people who have there's another group of people who have again genetically modified humans to become effectively immortal. And in the war with after the war, when the humans won, Commander Rose and his people were just ignored and were vilified, even though they kind of saved the universe for everyone, but there we go. So the enemy is coming back and Commander Rose has been called back into action, and I really liked seeing his character and his development, how, you know, he didn't really want to work for these people who had treated him like crap, but at the same time that's what he has always done. He's always had to fight for on the side of the humans. This is I think it's a 5-book series. This is book 1. I'm interested to see where the series goes. And I feel like it could go in one or two ways. We could find out this is a villain origin story, which I'd really actually enjoy seeing that story. We could just see it kind of play out as a good versus evil battle. Again, I would enjoy it. If you enjoy Battlestar Galactica, I think you'd really, really love this. I feel like the author is definitely a Battlestar fan, and you can see a lot, in my opinion, you can see a lot of inspiration of Battlestar in the book, but that didn't lower my enjoyment at all. I thought it was a really, really fantastic book. I gave this one 3 stars. I did really enjoy it. I liked the story. I did feel like there were a couple little things that were lacking. The writing style I didn't 100% connect to. I felt a little bit of a disconnect there, which did lower my enjoyment of the story a tiny bit. And there were a couple of bits I'd have liked to have moved a little bit faster. A couple of times I'd have liked it to slow down a little bit. So I felt the pacing was not perfect throughout, but it was for a first book in a series. It is a series that I would be interested in continuing, and I don't always feel like the first book in the series is necessarily the best. So yeah, I gave this one 3 stars, but it's a really, really good book. The next book I'm going to talk about is the first of the 5 stars that I got this month, which is The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. This is book 2 in the Scholomance series. In September, I read A Deadly Education and loved it. I think I gave that one 4 stars or 4.5. This one just got better. This absolutely incredible. I adored it. I loved seeing the characters develop even more. Those characters that I really loved and enjoyed getting to know in Deadly Education. They grew and they developed, but in a really natural way. So I enjoyed seeing that development. I enjoyed seeing the repercussions of what Elle and Orion did at the end of A Deadly Education, and I loved everything about this book. I thought the plotting was fantastic. I really enjoy the storytelling and the writing style. I do appreciate it's not for everybody. It is told in a very kind of conversational way where there are quite a lot of tangents, but for me personally, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I really liked the humour. I can't wait to read book 3. I'm very excited. So yeah, Last Graduate, 5 stars. Next book that I read was The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. This book has been on my TBR for ages. I remember my friend Naomi suggesting that I read this one, I think back in 2020. Since then, I have seen so many people read this and say, this book is fantastic, you have to read it. I gave this one 4.5 stars. If I gave quarter stars, it would be a 4.75. Basically, it was millimeters away from being a 5 star. And the reason that it didn't quite hit that threshold for me personally was I just found that the pacing was a little bit off, and I found that I kind of finished and I was like, I feel like I need to reread to understand what actually happened. So the characters I really liked. I liked that we could kind of get glimpses of what was going to happen to all of the characters throughout, but we didn't. It's everything that is a twist ended up being a twist. I thought the plot was really clever. I thought the twist in this, which I'm not going to tell you, obviously, I thought was very, very clever, well thought out and well done. Yeah, I loved it. I was guessing what happened throughout. I didn't get it right, obviously. But I thought it was a very it was a book that I really enjoyed reading, and I would actually genuinely like to read this again, just because I feel like there is so much that you would pick up on a reread that you wouldn't necessarily have noticed on a first read. So yeah, 4.5 stars for Last House on Needless Street. Next I'm going to mention very quickly the Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. This is an ARC. This is a book that I am working on for Tandem. So because it is one that I am being paid to work on, I'm not going to tell you like my ratings or like reviews or anything. But this one is a sequel to The Maid. It follows Molly again in her capacity of a maid at the Grand Regency Hotel, and there has been another murder. What I really enjoyed with this one was seeing so much more of Molly's backstory, of seeing kind of like how she grew up, things that had happened to her while growing up, more of Gran as a character, and actually seeing Gran have like speaking roles rather than being like just a memory. You know, we had flashbacks and whole chapters based in the past when Molly was a child, and I really liked seeing that development of the character. The mystery in this one, in my opinion, the mystery was of secondary enjoyment to the backstory and development of the character of Molly. I think this one is going to be as popular as The Maid. I think people are going to absolutely love it. I feel like if you liked the character of Molly, this book is for you. If you enjoyed The Maid just because of the mystery element, I would still say read it, but I think that this one is more of a work on character than it is a brand new exciting mystery. There were still a lot of twists that I did not see coming, but yeah, the character work in this one, absolutely incredible. The next book that I do want to just briefly mention is The Monarchs by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. This is the sequel to The Ravens. It is a kind of witchy dark academia. It is set in a sorority at a university in America, and it follows a coven of witches who, in The Ravens, they were... I can't really remember what they were doing in The Ravens, actually. I read it ages ago. But they were fighting some sort of baddie, and in this one we've got like the fallout of the events of that one, and again still kind of seeing like who is the big bad and who do we need to fight. This one was enjoyable. I felt it was quite predictable. I did like speed read through it. I read it in like 2 days, but to be honest, I managed to read it in 2 days because it was very predictable. You know, it was very readable. It was very, you know, kind of ending each chapter on a cliffhanger. You want to read one more chapter, you want to keep on going, but it wasn't kind of giving me anything where I was shocked. Even by the end I was like, okay, cool, yeah, kind of guessed all of that from fairly early on, but you know, it was one of those books, and I feel like the geology as a whole, inoffensive, enjoyed it, good time. I think if you like witchy books, if you like dark academia, and if you want something that kind of covers those two elements, it's a great little geology to read. Not the best series that I've read in the world, but it was fun. I gave The Monarchs 3 stars. So next we get into the last 4 books on my list, and we have got let's go this one here, which is the last book that I read this month, but I'm saving the rest for a minute anyway, which is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This was a reread for me. I've given this one 4.5 stars. I love this series. So I am rereading books 1 and 2, and I'm listening to them on audio, and I'm rereading them before I pick up book 3, which I do own already, but I just wanted to refresh myself on the first 2 books. I really enjoy Stephanie Garber's writing. Even though I don't really read very much YA anymore, this is a series that I really enjoy. I love the magicalness, the whimsy. It's just so exciting and so intriguing, and it's just so magical and whimsical, and I love it. So Once Upon a Broken Heart follows Evangeline North, follows North, where she meets Jax, who is the Prince of Hearts. He makes a deal with her, and she owes him 3 kisses. She must kiss 3 people of his choice. However, his kisses are deadly, which means that when he makes Evangeline kiss someone, are her kisses deadly. In this one, I love the expansion of the Caraval universe. I love that we kind of have those glimpses back to the Caraval trilogy, but I don't think that you needed to have read Caraval to enjoy this one. I really liked the kind of, like I said again, the magic, the whimsy. It was fantastic. I love the characters. I love Evangeline. I love Jax so much. And I'm already so excited for book 3, because this one ends on a cliffhanger and I loved it. I know what the cliffhanger of book 2 is, and I am super hyped to reread that one and then be able to go straight into book 3. It's absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I gave it 4.5 stars. Loved it. And the final 3 books on my list are some of the top reads of the month. So we've got Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This book is so good. It's so good. So this book is out in November. I believe it comes out next week. I think it's out on about, it's either out on the 7th or the 16th. It's somewhere around then. This is the prequel to Legends and Lattes. So in Legends and Lattes, we meet Viv, who is a retired orc, who is a retired kind of mercenary, and she sets up a coffee shop. In Bookshops and Bone Dust, we are following Viv as she is starting her mercenary career, and she's been injured in a fight and left to recover in this small town of Merk. There she makes friends with the local bookshop owner. She meets and is friends with the bakery owner. And just the way that she kind of integrates in this society, starts to kind of like become a member of the society. I loved it. There is also, they're kind of similar to Legends and Latte. Well, I feel like slightly more fantasy in this one, where there is a fantastical element of some, like an enemy that needs to be stopped, and Viv is, the one placed to be able to do that. Which again, I loved. I actually preferred that element to Legends and Lattes, just because I felt like in Legends and Lattes it was so cute and cozy, whereas in this one we did get that kind of fantasy quest, mercenary, war element as well, but still in a very cute and cozy way. I think my favourite thing in this book, which made me sob like an absolute infant, was the epilogue at the end. And it's 4 pages. Honestly, just read this book. The epilogue, just, like I said, I sobbed for ages. 5 stars, an easy 5 stars. I adored it so much, and it is, this one really is just, if Legends and Lattes is a hug in a book, this one is a warm duvet and a big mug of hot chocolate, and a big group hug, and just the coziest, loveliest. Love it. I could reread this one tomorrow and be happy with it. The next book that I want to talk about is The Last Devil to Die by Richard Osman. Again, 5 stars. 5 stars. The Thursday Murder Club series is one of my favourite mystery series. I adore Richard Osman's writing. I think he is hilarious. I think he is such a talented author. And I think as well, like, whereas a lot of what I really love with this series is that you've got these characters that you can really connect to and that you can really believe in, and you want to find out about them and their lives and what's happened to them. But you also have these mysteries which are very well thought out, intelligent mysteries. I don't feel like Richard Osman writes mysteries that are kind of obvious. There's always a twist that I don't see coming, and they're always, I feel like they are intelligent, and like they're mysteries that make sense, while also, you know, they could happen, but at the same time you're like, it's not going to actually happen though, is it? This one didn't make me cry as much as I thought it would. I was expecting to be heartbroken. I had seen Richard Osman say that, you know, he was not holding punches on this one, and I was expecting heartbreak, and I didn't get that. There was, I mean, I still cried, obviously, I cry at everything, but there was a scene towards the end, which was actually quite heartbreaking, but not as much as what I was expecting to happen. I don't really want to say too much about it because obviously this is book 4 in a series. But yeah, if you like mysteries, if you like just a cozy setting and a intelligent story, read Richard Osman. That's all I can say. Read him. Read these books. I am lending this copy to my mum because my mum is also obsessed with this series, and yeah, I loved it. I have no more words. I loved it. The final book that I read this month, and this actually is the last book that I read this month. I finished it yesterday at about 10 o'clock at night on the 31st of October, but that was The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. So this is the sequel to HMRC, Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and honestly, I'm obsessed. I loved HMRC, and this one, I think I probably liked this one a tiny bit more, but they're fairly equal in terms of enjoyment for me. In HMRC, we are following Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is the kind of the biggest coven in the UK. And we are following 5 witches who were childhood friends, and as they grew up, they kind of grew apart. So we had Helena, who was the leader of Her Majesty's Royal Coven, Leonie, who has split off to form her own coven for black and queer witches, Neve, who still uses her witchcraft, but she is a vet and she kind of uses it just to help her animals rather than like working in politics, and Elle, who doesn't use her witchcraft at all anymore. There is Neve's twin sister Kira, but we don't hear about her. And I don't really know what to say about this book. I don't know what I can say that's not going to be a spoiler. But something that happens at the end of HMRC, which made me just gutted that this book wasn't out. And this one picks up straight after those events. And what I adored about this book, I'm going to try and be as careful as I can with what I'm saying so I'm not spoiling anything. But I loved that the character whose perspective we follow in The Shadow Cabinet, I loved following their perspective. I loved seeing the story through their eyes, because we were told one thing about them in HMRC, and in this one, seeing the world through their eyes, we start to see a different side to them. And I think that's just really, I just love that. I think also it was very good storytelling, and it was very, again, both intelligently done and also very sympathetically done. I thought the plot in this book was fantastic. There actually was like a really good, strong, witchy fantasy plot, yet still the political and the allegory, which this book is, this series is, if you didn't know, it's basically sticking a big middle finger up to J.K. Rowling, and it's all about trans rights and how trans women are women. it's fantastic. I adore the amount of inclusivity in this book, and obviously, you know, it's written by Juno Dawson, so it is going to be inclusive, particularly in the LGBT scene. I don't really know what else to say, to be totally honest. I thought this book was fantastic. I loved the plot, I loved the characters, I loved the writing. I want book 3. And yeah, amazing. I loved it. I loved it. What more can I say? So that was my my October wrap up. I had, like I said, a fantastic reading month this month. So I'm hoping that November does me well as well. Let me just hold up my stack of read books. So these are the books that I read in October, plus the Monarchs, and honestly, such a good month. Not only did I read a good amount of books, but the amount of like 5 stars and 4.5 stars. 7 books were a 4.5 or a 5 star. Like, that is insane. And I think in that sense, probably my best reading month ever. But also, like I said, reading a good amount of books, and I'm just obsessed. So please do let me know if you have read any of the books that I have mentioned. Let me know if you agree with my ratings and my thoughts. If you liked this video, please leave me a like, subscribe down below, follow along for more reading content. I have got weekly vlogs coming throughout November of me reading various books through various challenges. But I will see you in whatever comes out next. Bye!